This is News Conference Extra with Conan Nolan.
Good morning and welcome to News Conference Extra, a special segment of Today in LA Weekend. I'm Conan Nolan. Thanks for joining us. A recall election of Governor Gavin Newsom is still far from certain, but the signatures are piling up, and we will know by April if the effort is successful. There are already two candidates who've thrown their hat in the ring to replace Mr. Newsom, either in a recall election or next year when the governor's term of office is up. One is former San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulconer. So, Mayor, thanks for taking the time. You've announced your candidacy. Why?
I have. It's time for new leadership. And there's a sense of urgency that continues to grow across California in every part. And when we look at the issues that are not being addressed, and again, getting back to urgency, we have 500,000 Californians right now that are hurting, lost their jobs, unemployed, and can't get an unemployment check. When we see private schools are open, yet public schools have not been safely reopened for parents all across California. When we see homelessness continue to skyrocket in too many places by double digits, people want change. They want a governor that can bring people together, but I think most importantly, they want a governor who can solve problems.
So the governor's facing multiple crises at the same time. There's the pandemic, the economy, there's a continued homeless problem, housing. He's not responsible for COVID-19 and says he's done his best at dealing with what has been a unique challenge in keeping Californians alive.
Well, I think what you're seeing a lot of frustration about is Californians want to do the right thing. We all want to get out of COVID-19 safely. We have one goal, to keep everybody healthy and safe. And yet when we have seen time and time again conflicting rules and regulations that are not, and I repeat, are not based on science, that's where you see people begin to lose faith in what's happening. It's just some examples of when we saw outdoor dining was curtailed and yet no science on the transmission due to outdoor dining. Again, when you're seeing things like public schools have not been provided the resources to have them safely reopen, yet private schools are, kids are falling behind in California. We have to change that. That's the sense of urgency that I think you were seeing all across the state for reform and change.
So there hasn't been a Republican statewide office holder in years. Why do you think that's going to change now?
Well, again, I believe that the Californians are actually less concerned if you have an R or a D in front of your name. I think Californians want result. And I tried to set that tone as mayor of San Diego, that even if you're going to disagree, and if you have different parties, if you treat people with dignity and respect, and you approach problems and problem solving, that's what people want. I accomplished what I set out to do. That's by bringing people together. We paved more roads in San Diego than we've ever done before. I did not defund the police in San Diego. We increased funding because we have to keep our neighborhoods safe. In fact, over the last 2 years, San Diego County was the only urban county in California where homelessness went down by double digits. Those are issues that Californians care about, and they want a governor, I believe strongly, that will solve those problems and work with the legislature to get it done, not just talk about it.
Former San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulconer, thank you for taking the time.
Thank you again. Appreciate it.
Also running for governor, either in a recall or in 2022, is San Diego businessman John Cox, who ran unsuccessfully against Gavin Newsom in 2018. So, Mr. Cox, I take it you have some of the same reasons for running as was mentioned by your fellow Republican, Mr. Faulconer. I'll let you make the argument.
The state's in crisis. We've got our kids out of school. We've got small businesses that have been crushed. We've got vaccinations that aren't being distributed. But on top of that, Conan, we have all the issues I talked about in 2018. We've still got a housing crisis. It's actually gotten worse. The homelessness crisis is worse. We had rolling blackouts in August. We've had incredible fires that have threatened Los Angeles as well as a lot of the other parts of the state. And water shortages remain. Our schools aren't teaching like they should. Our taxes are too high. You know, the people of this state deserve to have solutions. They deserve to have better management. That's the case I made in 2018. I got the most votes of any Republican candidate in the history of the state that didn't have a Austrian accent. I think the voters now have known what I'm about. I'm a small businessman, and I'm interested in getting people to work together and solve these problems and not just give people a bunch of excuses.
You lost a few years ago by 3 million votes, though. You supported Donald Trump in 2016 and 2020, who lost California by 5 million votes. As you point out, Kevin Faulconer also voted for Mr. Trump in 2020. Democrats and the governor are going to hang that around your neck. How do you convince millions of Californians that they were wrong in 2018, that they should have elected a Trump-supporting John Cox?
I am my own person. I'm running to fix California, not go into the muddle and the partisanship and the nonsense in Washington, D.C. You know, I think that's the problem with politics, Conan, really and truly. I think people want to be able to focus on the issues. How's my rent going to be lower? How am I going to be able to afford a house? How are my kids going to be able to stay in California and afford a house? How am I going to be able to afford electricity when we're paying 5 times what Texas does for electricity? How am I going to actually be able to get to work on time when I've got to sit in traffic because we don't build enough roads, and our roads we build are crappy because Caltrans costs twice what Texas spends on a mile of road? These are the questions that the voters want to talk about, Conan. They don't want to talk about, oh, this politician or that fight with this guy or that fight with that guy. They want answers. They want solutions, and I think that's what they're going to vote for in this recall.
Candidate for Governor John Cox, thanks for taking the time.
Thank you, Conan. Appreciate being with you.